Hello, CMSI 1010. Since Lab 3 is pretty involved, I thought I'd make a short video. I'll try to keep it under 10 minutes. Okay, the purpose of this lab is to get you all started with Git and GitHub. At the top of the lab, you're asked to do a one-time setup for Git. And this is something you do only once on your machine. You do those 6 commands at the top of the page. You can also hit get config global list. Make sure you do that. Make sure you have your email that's connected to getting GitHub here and some of these other nice little features here. If you do that, that should be good. Also, at the top of this particular lab, we went through adding readmes and things. So there's a readme at the top, which we added. In lab 1, we had a simple triangles.py program. We added a readme that says, hey, this is lab 1. For lab 2 is the one where we did all of those cool pictures around the world. So here we had Africa, Egypt, Ghana, Morocco, had the Bahia Palace, which we added. We put China and India into Asia. Europe had some countries, North America had some, Oceania had some also. And then in lab 3, which we're working on right now, our README just says, hey, we're really trying to learn about getting GitHub. So what we have on our local machine is a very nice set of files, but we would like to get them onto GitHub eventually. So the first thing we want to do is we want to track everything with Git. So I'm assuming that your files on your local machine are all set up like we have here, and that we've gone through the one-time configuration. But in our 1010 folder right now, we just have this README at the top level and our 3 labs. You can see that in VS Code 2, a README and the 3 labs, which you see with LS. We want to actually make this folder be tracked by Git. So we tell Git, hey, initialize this folder, and it says, hey, we've initialized a new empty Git repository. If we do an ls, it looks like nothing's changed, but if you do an ls-a, you can see that a new file, or a new folder, I should say, called .git has been added. Now we know that we're tracked. One of the most common Git commands you use is git status. It tells you the current state of your local files compared to what's been committed via Git or what's been tracked, all those things. Like, what does Git really know? So if we say git status, it's telling us right now we haven't made any commits and we have a bunch of files that are actually untracked. And it says we can use git add to track them. When you say git add, you're telling Git, hey, I want you to track these files for me. Now we can add each of these things individually, or we can just use a dot, which stands for the current folder, which says add everything in the current folder. If we do a git status again, we can see that a bunch of new files are ready to be committed. And we can now say git commit, say -m for the commit message you want. And the commit message we're going to do here is first 3 labs. This commits all those files. And if I were to do a git status right now, it tells me that there's nothing left to commit. The working tree, the local file system, is all clean. I can do a git log, and git log tells me that I made a commit at this time, and the name of the commit was first 3 labs. So, hey, I made my first commit. I'm free to make some changes over here if I want to, and then commit them. Or we can just start and just get all these commits pushed up here to GitHub, which I think we're going to do right now. So we have everything in Git in our local machine. Remember, all those commits are being tracked inside of this Git folder right here. But they're not on GitHub. So GitHub is a place where other people can see them. Like, no one can, like, unless they steal your laptop, they can't really look at your laptop files. So we want to get everything on GitHub. So once you create an account on GitHub, you'll have your own profile page, github.com/ your username. Here's mine. What we want to do is create a new repository. So I'm going to say new repository, and I'm going to call it CMSI 1010. I'm just going to leave it alone, hit create repository. Don't put anything else in there. You're not going to need it right now. So we create the repository, and now I have a repository on GitHub that's called my remote repository. And by the way, the Git folder over here, this is our local repository. The way you work with Git is you commit everything locally, and then you send it all up as in with the manner that I'll show you pretty soon. Now, what I would like to do over here, what it says to do is, now that the repository is created on GitHub, it says that if I have an existing repository on my local machine, I can push it to GitHub with this command right here. However, I don't want to run that command just yet. What I want to do, I'm going to just clear something. I just want to paste it in here without running it. Let's talk about what it says. It says in my CMSI 1010 folder, I would like to add a remote repository, which is going to be called Origin. It's almost always called Origin. It's just like the default. Just leave it. Just call it Origin. And this is the URL of it. That URL, of course, is very close to what you see over here. Just like with a little .git over here is what's different. But you should know that if I were able to just enter this command as is, then what would stop other people from creating their own files on their own laptop, typing this thing in and sending files to my GitHub repository? I mean, that would be terrible, right? So we can't actually say this directly. What we want to be able to say over here is we want to be able to put some kind of a pass key in here, some kind of a token, some form of authentication that nobody else knows about except me. And if we can get that into this thing right here, then I will at least, keep my repository on GitHub safe. And the only way that we can write to that repository on GitHub is if we know this particular token. So what we need is a form of authentication called a personal access token. The way you do that on GitHub is you can go to your little profile picture over here, go down to settings, hit settings on the left-hand side, scroll down to developer settings, go to personal access tokens, ask for some classic tokens. And it says we don't have any yet, but we can generate a new one, and we're going to generate a new classic token. How long do you want this token for? What's it actually for? Well, it's for my 1010 class. I'm just going to say 1010. How long do you want it to last? Well, our class is about 3 months, so I'll hit 90 days. And just select repo. Repos, you can select everything if you want, but for this class, it's totally fine to just hit repo. I mean, check them all if you want. And then hit generate token. I now have a token which is visible here, but will never be seen again once I leave this page. What I want to do with this token is I want to hit this little copy button right here. Okay, it's now copied. I go back to my terminal. And right in here, right after the two slashes after HTTPS, I want to paste that token in there and follow it with an @ sign. So now the way that what I'm connected to, what my local file is going to be connected to on GitHub is this whole thing right here. And you notice it's still github.com/rtool, but in a URL, if you ever put something prior to an @ sign right here, that's like a token. That's a form of authentication, which is good. So I'm going to hit that right here. And now any commits that I have locally that I push to GitHub will always authenticate. We'll always check right here that this thing matches the personal access token that I've created, and it's good for 90 days. Now, I know this is good for 90 days since I'm making a video and everybody here can read it. I am going to delete this token before I before I push this video to YouTube. So in case you want to try and hack me and add some stuff over there, this token's going to be long gone by the time you're watching this video. By the time if you're watching this video, that token's been deleted. But that's how you make it. This is something that you should do. By the time I leave this page, by the way, I can go back over here to like my repositories. I can see I have a repository called CMSI 1010. And I've actually already run this thing right here. This is the only command you have to run. You don't have to use these other two things. That's actually not necessary. What we want to do right now is just the following. If I remember, if I do a git log, I've already made a commit. I have one commit. If I say git push, that commit, that one commit that I made earlier, is going to go up to GitHub. And the way we can tell that it got there is we just have to refresh this page. If you refresh this page, it now says, oh, look what I got here. I have lab 1, lab 2, lab 3, and README, and I have a commit called first three labs. I can click over here where it says one commit. I can see, yeah, first three labs. If I click on it, you can see that I've added a README file at the top level, a README for lab 1, simple triangles. I've added my README for lab 2. I've added all these photos that we have from lab 2 and a README from lab 3. So this is all this information about the commit. One cool thing to know about GitHub is you can always go to the main page of your repository here. You can go to your own profile here. Okay, it's all useful. And yeah, there you go. That's it. That is the process of getting things started. Now, it gets more interesting when we start making changes. This is the flow that you want to get into. So let's do a little example right here. I think I'm going to go back to VS Code and let's go into, say, Lab 2, into the README. And yeah, I don't like the word subfolder. See, it's like it's misspelled. It doesn't know what this spelling is, an unknown word. So, and it's well, maybe subfolders is a word, I guess, for the many files and folders here. Okay, let's just talk about the files consists of cool pictures, that's something like that. I save it. Okay, make sure it's saved. Once it's saved, you can say git status. It says, hey, look at this. This file's been changed. You can also say git diff. Git diff is a fun one, and you can see that this red part is what that line used to look like, and here's what it now looks like. And once you're satisfied after doing, status and diff that everything's good, you go through this 3 steps that you can remember: git add, git commit. You can have something like enhance README for lab 2. Could you do something like that? You can put it in single quotes or double quotes, it doesn't matter. And then say git push. So what you want to say to yourself like 50 times fast is add, commit, push. Git add, git commit, git push. So just do add, commit, push over and over again. That's what happens whenever you make your changes. Now, git log will let us see what things look like locally. You can say I did first 3 labs at 8:44, and now at 8:53, I did this enhanced README. After I do the git push, okay, what's the point of git push again? Git push is going to take this second commit and it's going to put it on GitHub. So I have to refresh the page to see it. I do a refresh and I can see that, yeah, lab 2 has been pushed. Okay. And I think that is pretty much all you really need to know for now. You should, for the challenges for this lab, you should make a lot of changes and add commit push, add commit push. All right. Okay. Next step for me is to delete that personal access token and publish this video to YouTube. I hope you found this useful. Take care.